Howdy peeps. Today we're talking about why LDS singles should value direction over position in their dating decisions. Join the Journey Radio starts right now.
Welcome to the infusion of positive energy into the lives of single Latter-day Saints everywhere. This is Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back, peeps, to the wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Joy in the Journey Radio. I am Lance, your host for Joy in the Journey Radio, and this is episode number 401. Direction over position. That's right, peeps. So, if you're joining us live for the program today, please join the chat and tell us where you're watching the program from. If you are watching this program after the fact at a later date, then please leave a comment down below and tell us, where you're from, because that will help us with the algorithms. All right, peeps. So, before we get into the program today, I just want to make a little announcement. Let's take care of a little business, shall we? So, I'm looking to move into a different space. Yes, the JJ Thrive Zone is moving. And I was hoping to be in that new space today, but that didn't seem to play out right. So, probably next week it'll happen. So, when you get to the next episode of the program, we're going to be broadcasting from a different location. Hopefully, excited. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better place. I'm hoping anyway. So we'll see how that works out. But so you could look on the up and up for that. So now let's dig into the program today, which, as I said, is entitled Direction Over Position. Yes, episode number 401. Longtime audience members will know what I have said about how habits can keep LDS singles back from enjoying the eternal blessings they seek. Think about this. At the end of the day, results are what matter to most people. That's because results are what most people really want at the end of the day. And it's not because LDS singles are LDS singles, it's because they're human. Now, here's the deal. Whatever results we have come from the choices we consistently make. That means we choose the results we have in life. Let that one sink in and marinate your brain for a while. We choose the results we have in life. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Maybe you're even yelling it at your screen. What do you mean? I chose my results. My life is nowhere near where I want it to be. So many things have happened. I never chose them. How can you seriously declare, let alone suggest, that I chose this? Believe me, I hear you. My life, right now, my life is nowhere near where I want it to be. In fact, nothing in my life right now seems to be going my way. In every single, pun intended, area of my life, things don't seem to be working out. At the same time, I don't shirk responsibility for my life by trying to rationalize accountability for my choices to other people. I am where I am because I made choices that brought me to where I am. I don't particularly like where I am. As I said, nothing in my life right now seems to be going my way. But I don't blame others for that. I blame myself for not using the right approach and not making the adjustments I need to make in my approach to make it right. I chose my approach, I chose to keep my approach, and now I have the results of those choices. Is it just me, or did I just say in a roundabout way that I simply had a habit that gave me the results I now have? When we hear the word choice, we usually think of a conscious habit. But most of our choices are not consciously made. They are made as part of a habit. It's been said that 95% of everything we do each day is done out of habit, which means The choices we're making are largely outside of our conscious awareness. We're simply operating on autopilot. So if our results come from our choices, and our choices are made mostly unawares to us because they're made out of habit, then the logical conclusion is that our results come from our habits. This is why I have said over and over again on this program that the habits LDS singles have are holding them back from living the life they say they want. They are making choices out of habit that are then delivering to them the results they have in their lives. Of course, the typical follow up to that realization is something like this: what are the habits that hold LDS singles back? That's a tricky question to answer. Habit is so individualized that no one can detail every habit holding any large swath of people back. But I can describe some less effective habits many LDS singles have in common. We talked about some of them on the program over the years, but let's examine one that I have very commonly seen among LDS singles. When it comes to dating, too many LDS singles want perfection to waltz into their lives and sit comfortably in their laps. They want life to be like ordering something on Amazon, where we place our order and in 2 days, the exact thing we want appears on our doorstep. We don't expect there to be any difference between what we saw online and what we actually have in front of us in reality. We expect the two to be the same. Now, that expectation carries over to people when LDS singles evaluate dating prospects. We look at people as they are now, and we act on the assumption that what we see now is what will always be. In other words, we evaluate position and ignore direction as if people will never change with time. The truth is that people will change over time. The real question then is in what direction? What will that change be? Will it be positive or will it be negative? Direction, not position, determines what results we'll get in the future. Direction comes from the choices we make. Position is simply one point along the way as we travel in the direction we have chosen. Two people can be going in very different directions and occupy the same position at the same point in time. But if their directions are not aligned, then their destinations will be very different indeed, because direction determines destination, not position. Thus, if we want to think about the long game of eternity, we should value direction over position. Now, I recognize that all this may seem incredibly simplistic. You might even be thinking to yourself, this isn't a problem you have. But such is the nature of habit. Very often, what we do and what we think we do don't match. A common manifestation of this habit appears when we judge others by their external appearance. Just because someone is, say, physically unattractive doesn't mean that person will always be that way. Yet, isn't that what we think when we see people like that? And doesn't that thinking indicate a greater value placed on position than direction? With just a single point on a graph, you can't tell where the next point on a line will be because the line could be oriented in any direction. As we observed earlier, two people with very different directions can have the same position at the same point in time, right? So let's say, you've got two people, right? And they're occupying this point, but of course, one of them is going this way and the other one is going this way. They're both at the same spot, but they're headed in two different directions. And, you know, where they end up is not a function of being in this particular spot. It's by the direction they end up, because this person's going to end up over here. This person's going to end up over here somewhere. It just matters of, what direction you're headed in. So you can have different directions, right? The same position, the same point in time, but have different directions. But ultimately, it's the direction that ends you up where you're going to be. So in order to know direction, you can't just know that position where they're at. You got to know where they're headed. And to know direction, you need to allow time for each person to reveal other points along the position of their path. Only then will you have what you need to mark the way that you can say anything about direction. Likewise, you can't tell just from one conversation or just one observation what direction someone has. Yeah, you may be able to tell their position, and I stress the word may, but you need multiple encounters to determine someone's direction. And that means allowing time for those points of position to appear and reveal the direction of the individual in question. Now, those multiple encounters are like multiple points on a graph, revealing the patterns that evidence what habits someone has. And understanding their habits allows you to forecast more accurately what results they'll have, and also what results you'll have if you both intertwine your lives together. To value direction over position means getting to know people well enough to see beyond present position and ascertain their direction and future destination. And that takes time. Now, some don't want to spend that time. Maybe they accept that people will change, but given someone's present position, they don't want to deal with the inconvenience that change will bring. In this age of instant everything, we want what we want and we want it now. Spending extra time with people to get to know who they really are, that just doesn't jive with that microwave mindset. But it does mesh well with a Christ centered culture. Christ was the ultimate example of that love called charity. And when we surrender to love and take the time to get to know who people really are, we follow in the path marked by the Master. It then becomes easier to see beyond position and place more value on direction. Centering our perspective on Christ does this and more. It allows us to see not just where others actually are headed, but also much better places where they could be headed and how we can help them to achieve that potential. Now, those sound like more effective choices that all of us could be making more often. So then, why don't we make more effective choices more often? The best answer is the simplest. We have less effective choices encoded into our habits. We've adopted the habit of wanting what we want and wanting it now, of not surrendering to love, of staying safe within our own comfort zones, and of avoiding the risk of pain or other difficulty in our lives. Yet, the only true safety lies in vulnerability and taking risks. You can't have the greatest happiness without risking having the greatest sadness. You can't have the greatest comfort without risking having the greatest hassle. You can't have the greatest pleasure without risking having the greatest pain. You can't have the greatest joy without risking having the greatest sorrow. Greatness simply cannot come without risk. When we put aside our own agendas and get to know people for who they really are, we not only surrender to love, but also invite into our lives the love that we seek. When we value direction over position, we declare with our actions that we value the fundamental nature of people more than what appears superficially today. When we value position over direction, we send the message that we love people only if they meet certain conditions. But when we value direction over position, we send the message that we love people unconditionally because we don't insist that people be a certain way today, that they have a certain position today, because that doesn't matter to us as much as the direction. Where are they headed? That's what matters more. And when we take that value, we recognize we're all imperfect today. We're all on the same journey towards perfection tomorrow. Let us therefore value love for others over love of self. Let us value people over personal agenda. Let us value direction over position. When you do that, you'll find many more possibilities open up to you in your dating journey. You'll begin to see more of what people truly have to offer along the road into eternity, and you'll enjoy more of the goodness in other potential partners, regardless of whether or not a deeper relationship blossoms. And that will bring you more joy. No journey. Well, peeps, that's all we have for this episode of Join the Journey Radio. If I had guests on the program, then this is the point where we would begin discussing what I just had to offer and having a conversation about it. But as you, I have no guests today. Everyone I asked to join the program says no. So if you'd like to join the program and have a discussion about some issue that relates to LDS singles life, then by all means, shoot me up. Let's let's see what kind of discussion we can bring. And there's always there's always opportunity, and that's what this program is trying to provide opportunity for people to have this discussion. So let's have the discussion. Now, maybe you don't want to be on the program. You can still join the live broadcast. So, feel free, you know, um, if you're not already, go to our website, jointhejourneyradio.com, and watch a live show there on our website. You can join the program through the chat. And let's see if we have anyone in the chat today. Looking up, and I'm not seeing any comments or questions in the chat. But yeah, this is the point of the program where, yeah, we would actually say, hey, you got a question, you got a comment, let's address that here. Let's again have opportunity for discussion, and I'm trying to include as many people as I can, but apparently I'm the only one. I guess that makes me a Tigger acolyte. Yes, that's what he always said. I'm the only one. Woo! Uh, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I don't have to be the only one. You can join the program too. And so, maybe you don't want to put your mug on the screen. Well, okay, join the program via the chat, and let's chat it up. So, there's plenty of opportunity here, and if you have anything that you want to say, then, thank you for joining in. Please, leave a comment down below. It's in the chat. So obviously, if you're watching this, you're watching it. Um, yeah, you're watching it after the fact. So leave a comment down below if you have something you'd like to say about what we discussed today. If you have a topic or a question that you'd like to see addressed on the program, then by all means, leave a comment down below. If there's something we can do to help you overcome the challenges of LDS singles life, then yep, you got it. Leave a comment down below. And if you don't want the world reading the message you have for us, then, like I said, you can always go back to the website. Let me flash that up here again. Jointhejourneyradio.com. There's a contact page, right? On the contact page, there's going to be a place where you can make a comment and send us a message. So you can send us a message without all the world seeing it. Because if you leave a comment on one of our videos on YouTube or Rumble, then yeah, everyone's going to see that. So if you want to leave us something that, and of course, I delete it because you're just being obnoxious. My goodness, I got to tell you, um, I haven't seen it so much on YouTube, but I have seen it on Rumble, where I guess it's these bots that they come in and it's just people trying to drum up business, saying, yeah, I watched your video and you're so good at what you do, and it's just a bunch of generality type of praise. And then they come in and they're like, oh yeah, I think I could really help you take your what you're doing to the next level. Please contact me. Here's my email. And it's some like free Gmail account or something like that. And I'm looking at this and I'm just like, okay, first of all, you didn't watch Jack, right? You didn't watch anything. Because if you watch something, then here's the deal. If you actually watch something, then you should like be praising something specific about the program. Bring out a detail that I actually brought out in my video and put that in your comment. And that shows me that you actually watched it. But if you put all this general praise, you didn't watch Jack. So, yeah, there's no detail there. And then you really want to drum up business with me? Don't be, putting that into my forum that I have created for trying to build this community where we talk about issues that affect our demographic. Don't be putting your stuff, don't be pitching your business there. That's not the place for it. There's no sense of propriety here. You want to pitch your business to me? Hey, here's the thing. Let me flash it up here on the screen again, right? Here we go, right? Go to the website, jointhejourneyradio.com. There's a contact page. You fill out the form on the contact page and hit the send button. It sends a message out, right? And you can contact me that way and pitch your business to me that way. And if I like what I hear, then I'll come back to you. And if you don't hear from me, I'm not interested. Oh, by the way, if you don't hear, if you know, here's the thing. If I really want the business that you're in, if I really want the service or product you're providing, I will come find you. You don't need to be looking for me. I'll come find you, right? So if I haven't found you, I probably don't want what you're selling. I know that's a crazy concept, but yeah, that's the way that works. So yeah, but hey, so I will delete those comments if you put them on my videos. I will delete them because they don't have anything to do with the community that I'm trying to create and foster, right? So they're just completely out of place, and that's why I go ahead and delete it. But if you have something that's appropriate for the community, then yeah, put it in there. I want to hear it. I want to respond to it. I want to involve us in a discussion where we help lift each other up and make life better for everybody. That's the whole point behind Join the Journey Radio. So, you know, um, there it is. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share our content that you find helpful, so the algorithms can help push our content out, push our content out to more people, and you know, help us to grow. And help us to grow. I remember there's this one comment somebody made. He's like, "Man, yeah, you put out really good content, but your views are really low, man. You got to do something about that." And I replied with, "Okay, well, instead of they're criticizing me for the low views, why don't you help me get the high views that you think I should have?" Why don't you share my stuff? Why don't you like my stuff? Why don't you subscribe to my channel? Because you ain't done any one of those three things. You're just sitting there saying, "Man, you gotta pick this up." Like you're not even helping, man. It's like nothing's gonna change if we don't act. So this is why I keep appealing this pitch to you. And nothing's gonna change if we don't act. So come join the program. Come make a comment. Come join the chat. Come be on the program. Let's have a discussion about the issues that affect LDS singles. So there it is. And until next time, this is your host reminding you there is joy to be had all along your journey. So take that joy and journey on.